Welcome back, music lover, to another epic episode of Mac Music Review. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the album Blonde by Frank Ocean. This is Frank Ocean's third full-length album. I don't know if he did Nostalgia Ultra first, and then Channel Orange, and then also Endless is a thing that exists, but I don't even know what to call that, a visual album. I don't even know what to say about Endless. I've never listened to it. I actually haven't listened to Nostalgia Ultra either, and I haven't listened to Channel Orange a lot. I am not an R&B fan. This is actually the very first R&B review on the channel. First video where I look at an R&B album or song or anything R&B related at all, because I'm just not someone who likes R&B music traditionally. But then you have this, which is something else. The esteemed music review website Pitchfork gave Blonde a 9, which is extremely high praise. And in this video, I'm going to be asking, is Blonde a 9? Now first, what is Blonde? Blonde, I feel like we've already been over this. It's like Frank Ocean's third album. I'll say that. It's Frank Ocean's third album if you don't count Endless, which was released a day before Blonde. And it's an album that's very different than Channel Orange. Channel Orange was shockingly simple in its presentation, and it was just very straightforward and simple and kind of raw in certain ways. And Blonde has a lot more subtlety, both in the production choices, in the progression of the album. It's a very slow burner, and it has a lot more subtlety to it. It's a lot more, it feels like a much more mature, more worked on album than Channel Orange. Channel Orange was shocking in its simplicity and just how straightforward it was, but also how innovative it was. It was very creative. It was very out there. It was, to this day, nothing else is like Channel Orange. But Blonde, and I would say there's nothing else quite like Blonde. Yeah, Blonde is an incredibly unique album, but it just feels like much more slow moving, much more, more heavily processed and just more heavily produced, I should say. Just like they spent a lot of time and effort on this production, on working on this album and making the production very detailed, very high quality, very lush, and very fine, very fine. Blonde is a very difficult album to review because the album feels more like a feeling than a collection of songs. This album is a specific vibe. It's a mood. It's unlike anything else. I just, the feeling this album creates, it's kind of like you're seeing a movie. It's kind of like you're peering into Frank Ocean's soul, into his heart, into his brain, into his life. You're really taking on this trip with songs like Nikes, and really all of the songs, Skyline 2, Nights, where we're just seeing the day solo. We're seeing his, Frank Ocean's sexual escapades. We're seeing how he spends his nights, how he spends his days. We're seeing days bleed. We're seeing weeks, months, days, summers bleed into each other as he just kind of wanders around. He just kind of hangs out with his friends, drives in his car, white Ferrari. And then you have Futura Free and all the songs leading up to it. All of the interludes that have snippets of this song Futura Free. All these songs that hint towards the album's ending, towards the album's final track. And that final track is one of the most magical moments of the 2010s in terms of music. It's one of the most magical moments on any album ever. That final song is hard to describe with words. The feeling it gives me, the emotion that final song gives me, Futura Free, and the way it's built up. It's really, the best word to describe it is nostalgic, but that's impossible because I'm not nostalgic for Frank Ocean's music. I didn't grow up listening to Frank Ocean. Listening to Blonde is a relatively new experience. Ever since Pitchfork gave it Album of the Decade, I've been listening to this album a lot, but it's hard, I can't say it's nostalgic because the very first time I heard it, I felt nostalgic. So how does it do that? Well, maybe it's the setup throughout the songs. Maybe it's the lyrics. Maybe it's the snippets. Maybe it's the way it's done. That background music that plays during the talking and the samples. It's impossible to describe the song Futura Free, but it is truly magical. It's otherworldly. It's not like anything else I've ever heard before. The production on Blonde is immaculate. I mean, I really can't gripe anywhere with the production choices. It's just fantastic. The songs all kind of have the same vibe, but they're all also very distinctive. They all sound different, even though they all kind of sound the same. They all have the same vibe. They have different music. Nights is incredible. Skyline 2, Siegfried, Godspeed. The emotion in the vocals is fantastic. Frank Ocean is one of the best singers one of the best singers living today. The lyrics are hard to complain about. While I don't like everything that Frank Ocean is saying on this album, the lyrics are just so utterly personal to him, and are just so much a glimpse into his life, into his soul, into his mind, into his heart. It's hard to really complain about the lyrics. Anyway, this is an incredible album. Pitchfork said it was the best album of the decade, and I wouldn't say that it's the best album of the decade of the 2010s, but it is an absolutely incredible album. For me, it gets, I'm going to have to say yes. Blonde is a 9. If I'm going by needle drop standards, I would say it's a strong 9. Blonde is a strong 9. It is an album that is unlike any other. It is extremely special. This is a truly amazing album. Thank you for watching the video. What is your favorite Frank Ocean album? This is really interesting, but Pitchfork actually gave the album Channel Orange a 9.5 and gave Blonde a 9, but it must have grown on them because they said that Blonde was the best album of the 2010s, even though Channel Orange came out in the year 2010 and was on the list, also featured extremely high on the list. So it was like in the top 10. So that's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Also, just in general, Channel Orange is more critically acclaimed than Blonde. I like Blonde better. I'm saying that right now, but like, I barely listened to the album Channel Orange. Also, never listened to Nostalgia Ultra. I know Rolling Stones put Nostalgia Ultra like super high on their best albums of the decade, which is weird. Also, Acid Rap. I thought that was the other weird thing. It was like, Coloring Book was not very high on the list, if it was on the list at all, and then Acid Rap was like the 30th best album of the decade. It's like, what? It's kind of a weird list. So I don't know how legitimate that is. I don't know how good Nostalgia Ultra is. Should I listen to it? Should I listen to Nostalgia Ultra? Is it worth listening to? I wouldn't even, guys, I love this album so much, but I would not say I'm even a Frank Ocean fan, because I just don't care for this genre of music. This is just a really rare exception in the world of R&B that I really love. Also, I love Childish Gambino's new album. That thing is so good. I don't know if that's, I guess that is R&B music. That is R&B music, but that's fantastic. Anyway, have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching the video.